Hi everyone, my name is Chaudhry Rehan Heather, and today I will walk you through my classroom management pedagogy and why I would be a great fit for Oak Hill College in the secondary grades for the science curriculum. My pedagogy runs through some of the most interesting theorists who have spent years researching how to maintain a smooth learning space for students and ensure their well being. My management of a classroom comes from a variety of different backgrounds, but the base is built from APST standards 4 and 1.4, which defines different ways to keep the classroom a safe and cohesive learning environment, but also promotes inclusivity for all different types of students. This belief is further strengthened by the NSW classroom management policies which adhere to the creation of a system that simply boils down to having a structure that the students can follow, instructions that are made clear to all, and discipline that helps build the student's character. The core beliefs are further emphasized upon by the Disability and Standards Education Act of 2005, which makes it compulsory for all teachers to include students of all kinds in all activities and make sure everyone deserves an education. McDonald's positive learning framework covers the part of inclusivity that can be achieved in a classroom and can be done by having a routine that the students can follow, which is supported by the NSW's policy as well. Combining NSW's restorative practices with Porter's responsibility model works well with my management strategy, as this promotes having the students understand what their responsibility is and how they can upkeep that, rather than punishing them, which would be punitive and not productive, as one would think it would be. Having a holistic approach to managing my classroom is a key pedagogical principle for me, as the students are at an impressionable age. Caring about their education and upbringing in complete form is important, which includes their academic level, social and emotional intelligence, and also behavioral aspects. Bronfenbrenner argues that the student's education has more than classroom education behind it. It should also include the background factors such as the family ties, how they interact with their peers, and what kind of social setting do they come from. And I completely agree because as a teacher, we need to understand why a student behaves the way they do and how do we as teachers tap into that for the better than the worse. All students can excel in different aspects of life. In education, this can be done in many different ways. It can be done through digitally, verbally, or even through art. If there are different ways to attempt and complete studying, students who are tied to a single way of learning tend to crash out or display their unmet needs through different acts of resistance. Trekkers informed us about this habit. So, a teacher's role in this situation would be to be a guide and help them cross the bridge they are having problems with. This also ties in with Geno's theory of how it is up to the teacher to set the mood of the classroom by creating a space with inclusion and complete ability upgrading, which would mean to help students hone their skills and help them in places where they fall short, but do it in a way that is positive and affirming rather than in the form of punishment. Sydney is a multicultural hotspot in Australia right now, and this means that so are the classrooms. Having such an interesting classroom is a blessing because, as a teacher, I get to learn about how different cultures bring up their young ones. Collaboration with parents of the students I teach would be one of the most important things I can do as a teacher, and I will facilitate this by having an open conversation with them and using a bilingual conversation application as a form of communication. Many different aspects of education span across from home to school, and to capitalize on that for the betterment of the students, a teacher-parent collaboration is necessary. And as indicated by Bronfenbrenner in his work, The Ecology of Human Development, that maintaining a working relationship with parents of the students help in the development of the student because it is a collaboration of people who want the children to succeed. I understand that a classroom is filled with different types of students, and getting to know each one of them in depth is going to be hard. but as Potter's research shows that the development of a student occurs best when the management system of the students is done across from their home and school rather than just at school. Collaborating with the parents will help me understand what the goals are that the parents would want their children to achieve and what kind of management strategies work for their children at home and try to implement them in my own way. This would help set the expectations for the students and help them take responsibility for their education. Furthermore, this type of collaboration would keep the parents in loop of what the development of the student is going along. Keeping student engagement in check while having the classroom on task and minimizing distraction would be my goal to implement a proactive approach to my classroom management style, rather than me being a reactive source to anything that happens out of the ordinary. Although this is easier said than done, Marzano outlined that having students get accustomed to routines is the best way to allow them to feel familiar with the learning process, and providing them with an explicit set of expectations that they have to meet gives them a scaffolding of what the success criteria are for the class. My class would be asked to stand on the first day of the term, then I will ask them to stretch their arms and then read the learning intention for the day and what the success criteria is loudly. So they repeat it to themselves of what needs to be done rather than me just telling them what they need to do. This will be followed by a set of expectations and rules they must adhere to. You can ask for help if you feel distracted and you cannot understand what is going on, but you must not disturb the whole class. Otherwise, the consequences that are said and made known to the class will be carried out. This inspiration came from Drecker's work, where he highlights the importance of student responsibility, where classroom agreements are bonds that promote intrinsic learning in students. Having my students develop their emotional literacy and making them question themselves whenever they are feeling down, I will always have Cooper's zone of regulation chart in the classroom. So the students who feel that they are distracted can look at it and ask themselves, how do I get back to the learning zone? I feel like developing the emotional intelligence is a key ability to creating a proactive zone of classroom management and learning environment. Thank you.